morning students. Today we are moving to equilibrium chapter about acid-base Bronsted theory we have already seen during the live session. Today I am going to just illustrate the important definitions of the chapter. So what is the first definition? Law of mass action. Law of mass action. This law states that the rate of a reaction is directly proportional to the reactant. Okay, what is law of mass action? Suppose I have a reactant A. This reactant A is reacting and giving rise to product B. So the rate of a reaction is directly proportional to the concentration of the reactant, which is A. This is called as law of mass action. Suppose you take any chemical reaction where two molecules of A is combining with a molecule of B to give me the product C. Here, the rate is directly proportional to the product of concentration of the products. Means what? How many product is formed here? Only one product is formed here. So, I need to consider only one now. Now, what is the rate in case of a chemical reaction? So, here the rate is directly proportional to the product of the reactants. It is directly proportional to the product of the reactants. Here the reactants are A and B. What about the concentration? You have 2A and you have one molecule of B. So I have written the superscript 2 and 1 here. So rate is directly proportional to the product of concentration. What is this? This is called as rate constant K. So this is directly proportional to the concentration of reactant A, concentration of the reactant B. So this is called as the second law, which is nothing but chemical reaction. This we are seeing this under law of mass action. First we saw with one reactant. In the second reaction we saw with the two reactant. So what is law of mass action states that it states that the rate of reaction is directly proportional to the concentration of the reacting molecules. Done. Now what is your third definition? The third definition is called as equilibrium state. So as the name indicates, there should be an equilibrium between the forward reaction and the backward reaction. Then I will be calling that reaction is existing in equilibrium state. So what is equilibrium state? Rate of forward process is equal to your rate of backward process. For example, I have water molecule. The water molecule is in liquid state. So when I am going to heat it, the liquid form will be converted to a vapor form. So here the rate of vaporization is equal to rate of condensation. Done. So this is called as equilibrium state. So what is the next definition? The next definition is called as equilibrium mixture. This is called as equilibrium mixture. That is mixture of reactant and products in an equilibrium state. So I have my reactant molecule, I have my product molecule. So these two mixtures should be in equilibrium. So what is equilibrium mixture? So equilibrium mixture is defined as mixture of reactants and products in equilibrium state. They both should be in equilibrium state. Before that, you know what is equilibrium? Rate of forward is equal to your rate of backward reaction. And the next definition is physical equilibrium. So what is physical equilibrium? Suppose, see, you have your opposite reaction which is going to involve any change in the physical state, then I will be calling that as physical equilibrium. So what is physical equilibrium? If my opposing reaction changes the physical state of a reactant, then it is called as physical equilibrium. For this condition, see, I have one water molecule. Here the water molecule is in the solid state. Solid state means it is in the form of an ice. So what happens to the opposing reaction? When I am going to heat the ice, what happens? It will be converted to liquid. There is a physical change in the appearance of liquid as solid and liquid. That is as ice as well as water. So any reaction which involves, any opposing reaction which involves change in the physical state of a reaction or change in the physical state of a reactant is called as physical equilibrium. So conversion of solid water to liquid water is an example. So let us move to the other definitions now. Yes children, so after physical equilibrium we are moving to the next definition called as dynamic equilibrium. So what is dynamic equilibrium? Here the equilibrium is dynamic in nature. What is the meaning of dynamic, being dynamic in nature? See, the rate of forward reaction and the rate of backward reaction will be proceeding even after equilibrium is achieved. So this is called as dynamic equilibrium. Although the reactions are proceeding further even after equilibrium, the rate of forward reaction and the rate of backward reaction remains equal. Okay, this is called as dynamic equilibrium. So till now we have seen the important definition of law of mass action. What is law of mass action? Law of mass action means the rate of a reaction is proportional to the concentration of the reactant, and you will be writing superscript which shows the concentration of the reactant. Say for example, if you have 3 molecules of A and 2 molecules of B, then you will be writing to the concentration of the reactant, you will be writing a superscript 3 and 2. So this is called as law of mass action. Then we saw what is physical equilibrium. Any backward reaction, any opposing reaction is going to change the physical state of a reactant, then that is called as physical equilibrium. And what is dynamic equilibrium? Even after equilibrium is reached, the reaction is going to proceed. That is, your rate of forward reaction and the rate of backward reaction will be equal, but they will be proceeding even after the equilibrium is reached. This is called as dynamic equilibrium. And what is chemical equilibrium? Chemical equilibrium refers to a state where there is no change in the concentration of the reactant and the product. So chemical equilibrium is a state where there is no change in the concentration of the reactant and the product. Say for example, the formation of ammonia, N2 plus 3H2 gives you 2NH3. This is a process by which ammonia is produced by Haber's process. Here, see, there is a state where the concentration of the reactant, that is your nitrogen and hydrogen, will be equal to the concentration of the product, that is ammonia. So this is called as chemical equilibrium. What about chemical equilibrium? Chemical equilibrium is also dynamic in nature. That is, it proceeds even after equilibrium is reached. So chemical equilibrium is also dynamic in nature. The reaction will not stop even after reaching the equilibrium state. Okay, so the reaction will not stop even if you proceed to equilibrium. Your chemical equilibrium tend to proceed further. And what about the rate? Same. See, the rate of reactant and the rate of the product will be equal. So the rate of forward reaction and the rate of backward reaction will be equal, and the concentration of reactant and the product will be constant. So this is exactly, the last two conditions are same as that of your physical equilibrium. So you know what is physical equilibrium? Any reaction which is changing the physical state of a reactant. And what is chemical equilibrium? A state where the sum of reactant is equal to sum of product, or the rate of reactant is equal to the rate of product. Concentration of reactant should be equal to the concentration of the product. Rate is equal, concentration is constant. And dynamic equilibrium will proceed even after equilibrium is reached. Chemical equilibrium is also dynamic in nature. Then what is phase transformation process? See, as the name indicates, there is a change in the phase. Phase transformation process, there is a change in this phase. So we have three phases like solid, liquid and gaseous phases. So there will be a transformation in these three phases. So this is coming under the topic called phase transformation process. So what is the main heading under phase transformation process? First one is solid liquid equilibrium. So there is an equilibrium between the solid state and the liquid state. So there is an equilibrium between the solid state and the liquid state. Say for example, I have a solid ice. When I am going to heat it, what happens? I will be getting a liquid water. So there will be an equilibrium between the solid ice and the liquid water if I am going to carry out this reaction in an insulated thermal flask. So this is an example for solid liquid equilibrium, which is coming under phase transformation process. Done. What is our second heading? It is liquid vapor equilibrium. So as the name indicates, there is an equilibrium between your liquid and the vapor state, and this is also dynamic in nature. See, even your solid liquid equilibrium is also dynamic, even liquid vapor is also dynamic. Now what happens to solid vapor equilibrium? There is an equilibrium between your solid Solid by sublimation process will be converted to vapor by skipping the liquid phase. You know this, right? We know the conversion follows this pattern: solid converted to liquid, liquid converted to gas. But in case of sublimation, your solid will be directly converted to vapor by skipping the liquid phase. Say for example, camphor. So what is your solid vapor equilibrium? There is an equilibrium between your solid material and your vapor material which is produced after your solid sublime. So under phase transformation process, we have solid liquid, then liquid vapor, then solid vapor. So in all these cases, the first two will be dynamic in nature. Even after equilibrium is reached, the reaction will be proceeding further and the rate of the reactant and the product will be maintained constant. So we have seen law of mass action, we have seen physical equilibrium, chemical equilibrium, dynamic equilibrium and phase transformation process. Let us proceed further. Yes children, after phase transformation process, we are moving to solids dissolved in liquid. Hope you understood about phase transformation process. Phase transformation process defines that there should be an equilibrium between the physical state of a substance with the physical state of a same substance but different. Say for example, liquid and another one is vapor, or one is solid and another one is liquid. So there should be an equilibrium between the physical state of one substance with the other physical state of a same substance. Say for example, I have water which can exist in 3 different physical states. So we have seen that example under phase transformation process. That is, we saw solid liquid, then we saw liquid equilibrium with vapor, then we saw solid in equilibrium with vapor. So next, moving to solid dissolved in liquid. Now I have a beaker containing any liquid. So I am just pouring my solid to it. See, the amount of solid whichever I have added will be keep on dissolving in the liquid until some time. Like after the time, if you go on adding solid, my solid will not be dissolved in the liquid. So that state of a liquid is called as saturated solution, because whatever the solute or the solid which I am adding, it's not getting dissolved but it is deposited at the bottom of the beaker. Why this happens? Because there is an equilibrium between your solute molecules as well as your solution, after which the solubility is not there. So in a saturated solution, the solubility of the solute molecules has reached a maximum extent. The amount of solute is equal to amount of solvent in the solution. So there is an equilibrium between my solute molecules as well as my solution. So after which there is no any solubility of the solute which I am going to add further. So this is solids dissolved in liquids. So the second one is gases dissolved in liquids. This is otherwise called as Henry's law. Okay. If I am going to dissolve my gases in liquid, then you have to think of your Henry's law. So what does Henry's law suggest? So a given mass of gas dissolved in a given mass of a liquid at constant temperature is proportional to the pressure of a gas. This is called as Henry's law. I am repeating. The given mass of a gas which is dissolved in a given mass of a liquid should be proportional to pressure of a gas at constant temperature. See, we know whenever we are trying to remove any proportionality constant, we will be proportionality symbol. Then we will be introducing a constant. The constant added here is Kh, which is nothing but Henry's constant. Okay, this is called as Henry's constant. So what is Henry's law? Amount of gas dissolved in a given amount of liquid is proportional to the pressure of a gas at constant temperature. Now what happens if you increase the temperature? If you increase the temperature, then the amount of gas dissolved in a liquid decreases. Okay, this is called as Henry's law. Say for example, you have your aerated cold drink bottles which are sealed by means of pressure of a gas. Here the solubility in water is more. So when you try open the when you are trying opening the seal, what happens? Some of the carbon dioxide escapes into the air. So there will be a new equilibrium between your partial pressure. Okay, so there exists a new equilibrium here. So based on Henry's law, we have the aerated cold drink bottles as an example. So what is Henry's law? Amount of gas dissolved in a Given amount of liquid should be directly proportional to pressure at constant temperature. Done. Now, we have already seen about physical equilibrium. What is the characteristics of physical equilibrium? So, when physical equilibrium is happened, there are few facts which they should undergo. So, what are that? Already we know any change in the physical state of a reactant which is given by an opposing process is called as physical equilibrium. So, in physical equilibrium, I told you there is an equilibrium between your what is physical equilibrium? There should be an equilibrium between your opposing force and the forward force. When the equilibrium will exist? The equilibrium will exist only if the reaction is proceeding in a closed sealed container. I think I have already cited an example of thermal bottle, right? A thermal flask. So physical equilibrium's important characteristics is it should be performed in a closed container. So the first characteristics is the closed container at a given temperature, only then physical equilibrium can be maintained. And what is your second condition? We know physical equilibrium is also dynamic in nature. So there should be a dynamic equilibrium between the opposing process. When the dynamic equilibrium will exist, when the opposing process are occurring at the same rate, the forward reaction and the backward reaction should be proceeding at the same rate, then dynamic equilibrium will happen. Then other measurable properties should be kept constant, like melting point, then concentration of solute at a given temperature. All the other measurable properties will be maintained constant. Done. So these are the characteristics of physical equilibrium. Now, what is law of chemical equilibrium? I have two reactants, capital A and capital B. Small a and small b are the concentration of capital A and capital B. So this A and B are reacting to give me the products C and D, right? So what is law of chemical equilibrium? So law of chemical equilibrium states that it is defined as the product of concentration of the product to the product of concentration of the reactant, and the concentration will be raised to a power which is equal to the number of molecules. Okay, so this is called as law of chemical equilibrium. So law of chemical equilibrium states that the concentration of product to concentration of reactant, the concentration should be raised to a power which is equal to number of molecules. So what is this Kc? This Kc is called as rate of, this is called as constant for equilibrium. So this is equilibrium constant. So equilibrium constant is defined as the ratio of concentration of product to the ratio of concentration of the reactant, provided the concentrations are raised to power which is equal to number of molecules of reactant and the product. So let us proceed further. Yes children, moving to the units of equilibrium constant. So we have seen what is law of chemical equilibrium. Next is what is the unit of equilibrium constant. See, this is concentration, equilibrium constant in terms of concentration, so it is Kc. What is Kp? Equilibrium constant in terms of pressure, so it is called as Kp. Okay. So what is the unit of equilibrium constant Kc? It is expressed as moles per liter, right? This is in case of Kc. Suppose in case of Kp, that is equilibrium in terms of pressure, then the unit will become kPa bar or atmospheric pressure in terms of Kp. Okay. So unit of Kc is moles per liter, and unit in terms of pressure, that is Kp, will be equal to pKa bar by atmosphere. Okay. So then what is homogeneous and heterogeneous equilibrium? So we have two types of equilibrium, homo and hetero. Homo means the same. Here the equilibrium exists between your reactant and the product at same physical state. Okay. Your reactant and the product should be in the same physical state. Consider the example where sulfur dioxide has reacted with oxygen to give you sulfur trioxide. In this case, the reactant sulfur dioxide and oxygen, they are gases. Sulfur trioxide is also a gas. So all are in the same physical condition. So this is coming under homogeneous equilibrium. Now what is heterogeneous equilibrium? Just the opposite. There is an equilibrium between your reactant and the product, but they are in different physical state. Take the example of calcium carbonate. So calcium carbonate is a solid which upon dissociation gives you calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. Calcium oxide is a solid, but carbon dioxide is a gas. So they are not in same physical condition. One is in solid and another one is in gas. So this is an example for heterogeneous equilibrium, where the reactant and the products are in different physical state. Done. Then we know what is Kc. Kc is nothing but equilibrium constant, which is equal to the ratio of concentration of the product to the reactant, and the power is raised to a number which is equal to number of molecules. Done. So what is the characteristics of this Kc that we are going to see? So see, equilibrium's constant expression can be applicable only if the concentration of reactant and product are in equilibrium. So when the concentration of reactant and the product are in equilibrium, only then the expression of Kc is applicable. Second one, the value of Kc, that is the value of equilibrium constant, is independent of initial concentration of reactant and product, but it depends upon the temperature. Okay. So the value of equilibrium constant does not bother about the initial concentration of your reactant and the product, but it purely depends on the temperature value. It depends on the temperature. What is K dash? See, K dash is nothing but for reverse reaction. It is nothing but equilibrium constant of a reverse reaction. So K dash for a reverse reaction is nothing but your reciprocal of K. So what is K dash? Reciprocal of K is nothing but your K dash. K dash for a reverse reaction is nothing but your reciprocal of K. Say for example, K dash is equal to 1 by K. I have written K dash as 1 by K. Now, the value of K can be related to any equation which can be modified by multiplying it with a small integer or dividing it with a small integer. So, I am repeating this point. The value of K can be related to any equation of the same reaction, provided your same reaction is multiplied or divided by a small integer. When you multiply or divide the original equation by a small integer, even after your K value is applicable. Say for example, I have a reaction where half hydrogen and half iodine reacting to give me hydrogen iodide. This is nothing but equation of K. So what is this? This is equation of K. So now when I do 2, when I just multiply this K into 2, what happens is 2 and 2 will cancel. So I will be getting a reaction like this, right? H2 plus I2 give rise to 2Hi. This is called as K dash. So for in a original equation, when you multiply it or divide it by a small integer, still your K value can be applicable. Say for example, K dash is equal to K square. So if I do 1, 2 to your K value, then I will be getting the value of K dash. So K dash is nothing but reciprocal of K. So these are the conditions where your equilibrium constant can be applicable. So these are the characteristics of our equilibrium. Okay children, so we have seen about equilibrium constant. What is the characteristics of equilibrium constant? Then we are going to see applications of equilibrium constant. So we know what is Kc. It is nothing but ratio of concentration of product to the ratio of concentration of the reactant. The concentration will be raised to a power which is equal to number of molecules. This is Kc. We saw what are the conditions or characteristics of Kc. Now we are going to see the applications of equilibrium constant. So what is the first application? If the value of K is more, then we have some industrial application for that reaction. Why? Because if the value of K is more, then extent of reaction is also more. The extent at which the reaction proceeds, that will also be more. So what is the first application of Kc? If the value of K is more, then the reaction's extent is also more. Now consider I have two reactions with me. Hydrogen plus bromine give rise to hydrogen bromide. Nitrogen plus hydrogen N2 plus H2 gives 2NH3. So one is ammonia formation and one more is hydrogen bromide formation. Looking to the value of Kc, that is equilibrium constant, in the first reaction I have 5.4 into 10 power 18 and in the second reaction I have 4.8 into 10 power minus 31. So obviously you know this the value of Kc for ammonia formation is less. So I just want to tell you that in the second reaction my reaction will be proceeding backwards. So the formation of nitrogen and hydrogen will be more. this reaction will not proceed forward. I mean, the extent of the reaction proceeding forward is less. Instead, the backward reaction's extent is more because the value of K is less here. So the amount of nitrogen and hydrogen produced will be more here. So this is the first application of Kc. More the amount of K value, then more the extent of the reaction. Now what is the second application? You can predict the direction of a reaction, like whether the reaction proceeds forward or backward or equilibrium. These three can be understood by knowing the Kc value. So how I am going to relate the value of equilibrium constant with the reaction quotient, that is called as Q. So what is Q? Q is called as a reaction quotient. See, you can write the value of Q in terms of concentration as well as in terms of pressure, like how we wrote for Kc and Kp. Hope you remember, while telling the units of equilibrium constant, I was just telling you how to write K in terms of C, K in terms of P. Similarly, we have for reaction quotient also in terms of concentration as well as in terms of partial pressure. Say for example, if I am going to write Qc, then this is a reaction quotient in terms of concentration. Then if I am going to write Qp, that is a reaction quotient in terms of partial pressure. This is reaction quotient in terms of partial pressure. So your reaction quotient can be written in terms of concentration as well as in terms of pressure. So what is reaction quotient means? Reaction quotient is defined as the product of concentration of product to the concentration of the reactant and the concentration or raised to the power which is equal to the number of molecules at any stage of the reaction. This is called as a reaction quotient. So at any stage of the reaction, we have the product of concentration of the product and the product of concentration of the reaction will be same. This is at any stage of the reaction. Okay. So this is called as a reaction quotient, and this is coming under the application of equilibrium constant. We are still in the second application. So if the value of Q, that is if the value of reaction quotient is more, then backward reaction proceeds. Backward reaction or the reverse reaction proceeds. If the value of reaction quotient and the equilibrium constant are equal, then the reaction is in equilibrium. Then if the value of K is more than the reaction quotient, here forward reaction will proceed. So this is how I can predict whether my reaction will proceed forward, backward or in equilibrium. So we have seen two applications. First application is nothing but your value. If the value of K is more, then extent of reaction is also more. Then second one is predicting the direction of reaction, and the third one is if you know the value of Kc, then you can determine the value of the concentration of reactant and the concentration of product at equilibrium. So at equilibrium, once the value of Kc is known, then the concentration of reactants and the products can be calculated. Then what about your last application? If the value of K is more, I told you the extent of reaction is also more. If the extent of reaction is more, obviously the product formation is also more. So more the value of K, more the product. I can just relate Q with K. If concentration of Q is more, then backward reaction proceeds. If concentration of Q is, if Q is equal to K, then balanced equation, that is equilibrium reaction proceeds. If the value of K is more, then the reaction proceeds forward. As a result, I will be getting more product. So these are the applications of equilibrium constant. So in today's session, we have seen about laws of mass action, law of chemical equilibrium, then physical equilibrium, then dynamic equilibrium. Then we saw how to relate my equilibrium constant characteristics. What are the characteristics of equilibrium constant? Then we saw what is the applications of equilibrium constant. We saw phase transformation reaction. Under that we saw 3. And we saw solids dissolved in liquids, and we saw gases dissolved in liquids as Henry's law. We saw what is Henry's constant, etc. The remaining we will see in the next session. Thank you.